Chapter 35, Vishnu's Statement. Daksha said, O Hari, Vishnu, Lord of Devas, friend of the poor, storehouse of mercy, you must protect me and my sacrifice. You are the guardian of sacrifice. You are identical with the activity of sacrifice, the performer of sacrifice. O Lord, be merciful, let not the sacrifice be destroyed. Brahma said. Thus submitting entreaties of diverse sorts with great respect, in his mental agitation due to fear, he fell at his feet. Vishnu raised Daksha of agitated mind, and on hearing the words of that evil-minded one, Vishnu remembered Shiva. After remembering Shiva his own lord, Vishnu, the knower of Shiva's principles, said thus, addressing Daksha. Vishnu said, Listen, O Daksha, I shall explain everything true to fact. Listen to my words, which are as efficacious as mantras, beneficent and pleasing. Not knowing the principle of Shiva, the great self and lord of everything, you have insulted him. By insulting him, not only does every activity become futile in every respect, but also it engenders adversities at every step. Poverty, death, and fear, these three take place when people worthy of worship are not worshipped and when undeserving people are honored. Hence with all efforts, the bull-bannered deity shall be respected and revered. A great terror has befallen us because Lord Shiva has been dishonored here. Although we are all lords, we are unable to accomplish anything due to your misdeeds. It is a fact I am mentioning. Brahma said. On hearing these words of Vishnu, Daksha began to ponder. He sat quietly on the ground with his face turned pale. Meanwhile Veerbhadra, the leader of the Ganas, sent by Rudra, came to the place of sacrifice accompanied by his army. Some of his attendants followed him closely, some came through the sky and others came from the different quarters and sub-quarters. At the bidding of Shiva, these innumerable heroic, fearless Ganas came there roaring like lions. By that great sound, the three worlds echoed and the quarters were plunged in darkness. The whole earth containing the 7 continents shook with fear. All the oceans, forests, and mountains were excessively agitated. On seeing that vast army of destructive potentiality, Devas and others were quite surprised. On seeing the enterprising activity of the army, Daksha's face turned red with agitation. He fell at the feet of Vishnu straight like a staff, prostrated at his feet, along with his wife, and said thus. Daksha said, depending upon you, this great sacrifice was started by me. O Vishnu, great Lord, you are the final authority in the matter of realizing good rites. O Vishnu, you are the cosmic witness of sacred rites and the protector of sacrifices. You are the savior of Vedic virtue, O great Lord. Hence, O Lord, you shall offer protection to my sacrifice here. Who else, other than you, is competent for it? You are the Lord of all. Brahma said. On hearing these piteous words of Daksha, Vishnu spoke, enlightening Daksha, who was averse to Shiva's principles. Vishnu said, O Daksha, protection shall be offered to your sacrifice. My promise of protecting Dharma is truly well known. You have stated the truth, but you have transgressed the same. O Daksha, listen, I shall tell you. Cast off your cruelty. What transpired at Namasa, the holy place, in a surprisingly mysterious manner, is evidently not remembered by you, O Daksha. Did you forget it in your evil way? Who can save you from Rudra's anger? O Daksha, a person who protects you, the wicked one, finds no approval anywhere. An evil-minded man does not see what is good and what is not. A sacred action or rite cannot be efficacious always. You must know that to be your duty which is naturally efficacious. Except Shiva, none can be the bestower of action. Shiva bestows the fruit of the actions upon the person who is tranquil on account of devotion to the Lord and whose mind is fixed in him alone. Depending upon knowledge alone, if they eschew devotion to God, they will fall into hell and remain there for hundreds of crores of kalpas. Those who solely depend on actions are bound by its nooses, are born in lives after lives, and are finally scorched and tortured in hells. Here, Virabhadra, the chief of Rudra's attendants, who suppresses all his enemies and who is born of the fire of Rudra's anger, has now come to the sacrificial yard. There is no doubt in this that he has come for destroying us. There is nothing impossible for him to do, whatever it may be really. It is certain that this great Lord will become tranquil only after burning us all. Since by my mistake I have transgressed the affirmation of Lord Shiva, I too shall bear the miseries along with you. O Daksha, I have no power to prevent this, since I have become an enemy of Shiva by transgressing his affirmation. There can be no happiness to the enemies of Shiva in the 3 periods of time. Misery has of necessity been invited by me along with you. My discus Sudarsana will not hit him. My discus is Siva belonging to Shiva, and it can cause the death of only non-Sivas. Even if Virabhadra had not been here, this discus would have killed us and returned to Shiva. This discus has remained without killing me, although I had transgressed the avowal of Shiva. It indicates that it is compassionate. Hereafter this discus will not stay with me. With its fiery effusions it will depart quickly. Even if he is worshipped and honored by us with respect, Virabhadra will not protect us, since he is extremely angry. A sudden dissolution of every one of us is imminent. Alas, it has already set upon us. There is none to offer us refuge in the 3 worlds. Who can be the refuge of an enemy of Shiva in this world? Even if the body undergoes destruction, the torture at the hands of Yama is in store for us. It is impossible to bear, as it generates much misery. On seeing an enemy of Shiva, Yama gnashes his teeth. He puts him in cauldrons of oil and not otherwise. Actually, I was preparing to leave after an open declaration. Still I did not leave immediately by the contagious sin of this wicked person. Even if we flee from this place, Virabhadra, the devotee of Shiva, will drag and pull us by means of his weapons. Whether it is heaven or earth, Patal or anywhere else, it is not difficult for the weapons of Virabhadra to gain access there. Such is the power of every one of the attendants of the trident-bearing Rudra. Formerly at Kasi, Kalabhairava had plucked off the 5th head of Brahma playfully with the tip of his nail. After saying this, Vishnu resumed his seat, his lotus face showing signs of great fear. At the same time Virabhadra too reached the sacrificial platform. While Vishnu was saying this, the gods and others saw the vast ocean of the army led by Virabhadra already come there. Chapter 36, The Dialogue between Vishnu and Virabhadra. Brahma said. Indra mocked at Vishnu, who was engrossed in his own arguments. He, the bearer of the thunderbolt, was desirous of fighting Virabhadra along with the other devas. Then Indra rode on his elephant, the fire god rode on a goat, Yama rode on his buffalo, and Nirdi rode on a ghost. Varuna rode on a crocodile, the wind god rode on a deer, Kabura sat in his chariot Pushpaka and he was ready and alert. The others in the hosts of Devas, Yaksas, Karakas, and Goyakas, all very powerful, rode on their own respective vehicles. Seeing their enterprise, Daksha, with blood rushing to his face in his excitement, approached them along with his wife and spoke. Daksha said, "Depending on your support and strength alone have I begun this great sacrifice. Such brilliant persons as you are authorities in the achievement of all good actions." Brahma said. On hearing these words of Daksha, the gods including Indra set off immediately in their readiness to fight. Indra and other devas and the guardians of the quarters, deluded by Shiva's Maya, fought with their full power. A great fight ensued between the devas and the Ganas. Those powerful warriors fought with each other with sharp spikes, iron clubs, etc. Conches were blown. Drums were beaten in that great war festival. Battle drums were sounded both big and small. Being encouraged by that sound, the devas in the company of the guardians of the quarters hit and thrashed the attendants of Shiva. O excellent sage, on account of the incantations of Bhargu, the attendants of Shiva were routed by Indra and other guardians of the quarters. Their defeat was effected by Bhargu, the sacrificial priest, for the continuance of the worship of the deities and for the satisfaction of Daksha, who had been initiated in the sacrifice. On seeing his people defeated, Virabhadra became infuriated. He asked the goblins, ghosts, and spirits to keep back. The attendants riding on bulls were sent to the front ranks. Accompanied by his forces and wielding his great trident, he felled the devas. The attendants of Shiva hit and thrashed the devas, the yaksas, sadhyas, goyakas, and sharans with their javelins, spears and tridents. Some were split with swords and smashed with iron clubs. The devas were hit and smothered with various weapons by the attendants of Shiva. Thus defeated, the devas left one another in lurch and fled to heaven. Only the guardians of the quarters, Indra and others, had the courage and strength to stay behind in that terrible battle with what little enthusiasm they had. Indra and others collectively approached Brahaspati in that battlefield and asked him humbly. The guardians of the quarters said, "O dear preceptor Brahaspati, intelligent and merciful, please tell us quickly how we can be victorious." Brahma said. On hearing their words, Brahaspati remembered Shiva and spoke to Indra, who was confused and confounded to slave the difficulty. Brahaspati said, "O Indra, what Vishnu had said before has taken place now. I shall explain it further. Listen attentively. There is the presiding deity of sacrifices who dispenses the fruits of all sacrifices. He does it with reference to the performer. He is not independent of the performer. Neither mantras nor medicinal herbs, nor black magic, nor worldly activities, nor the Vedas, nor the two systems of Mimamsas, nor other sacred texts based on Vedic passages are able to know Shiva, so the ancient authorities say. Lord Shiva is not unknowable antively. He can be known by devotee who have no other refuge, though he is unknowable through thousands of Vedic passages without devotion. So says the great Vedic passage. Sadashiva shall be known through his own blessings by mental tranquility and supreme vision without aberrations and distractions. But, O Lord of Devas, in the matter of discussion about what shall be done and what not, I shall explain the aspect of fulfillment of our desire. Hear that in your own interest. It is your childishness that prompted you to be present here in the sacrifice of Daksha along with the other guardians of quarters. What shall you do with the exhibition of your valor? These infuriated assistants of Rudra have come here to stop the sacrifice, and they will do it undoubtedly. There is no remedy to prevent the destruction of the sacrifice. True, I am telling you the truth. Brahma said. On hearing these words of Brahaspati, the guardians of the quarters, dwellers in heaven including Indra, fell a-thinking. Then, remembering Shiva mentally, Veerbhadra, surrounded by the heroic attendants of Shiva, spoke to Indra and other guardians of the quarters. Veerbhadra said, on account of your childishness you came here for this glorious act. I shall now offer you avadana, i.e., I shall cut you to pieces. Come near me. O Indra, O Agni, O Sun, O Moon, O Kabura, O Varuna, O Wind, O Nirdi, O Yama, O Sesa, O Devas, and Asuras, O clever ones, come here. I shall give you avadanas. The boon will be tasted by you till you are satiated, Brahma said. Saying so, Virabhadra, the leader of the attendants, became furious and hit all the devas with sharp arrows. Severely wounded by the arrows, Indra and other leaders of devas fled in all the 10 directions. When the guardians of the quarters and other devas had fled, Virabhadra came very near the entrance of the sacrificial chamber along with the Ganas. Then all the sages who had assembled there were terribly afraid, and bowing to Vishnu and desirous of informing him said thus: the sages said, O Lord of Lakshmi, save the sacrifice of Daksha. Undoubtedly you are the sacrifice, the performer of sacrifice, the sacrifice embodied, ancillary to sacrifice, and the protector of sacrifice. Please save the sacrifice. There is none else than you to protect it, Brahma said. On hearing these words of the sages, Vigmi, desirous of fighting with Virabhadra, went ahead. The powerful Vishnu, the four-armed discus-bearing Vishnu, fully equipped, came out of the sacrificial chamber along with the devas. The trident-wielding Virabhadra, accompanied by the different Ganas, saw Vishnu the great lord desirous of fighting and ready for it. On seeing him, Virabhadra knit his eyebrows and his face became awful. He met him as the god of death meeting a sinner, or the lion meeting an elephant. On seeing Vishnu in such a manner, Virabhadra, the suppressor of enemies, surrounded by the Ganas, became furious and said, Virabhadra said, O Vishnu, how is it that you set at naught the affirmation of Lord Shiva? Why were you haughty? Can you dare to transgress the affirmation of Lord Shiva? Who are you? In the 3 worlds, who is your savior? Why did you come here? We do not know that. How did you become the guardian and savior of Daksha's sacrifice? Explain it. Haven't you seen what Sada did? Haven't you heard what Daddy Chi said? You too came to Daksha's sacrifice for the sake of sacrificial gifts. O long-armed one, I shall now offer you avadana asterisk, i.e., I shall cut you to pieces. O Vishnu, I shall split your chest with my trident. Who is your protector who dare come near me? I shall dash you to the ground. I shall burn you with fire. I shall pound you after burning you. O Vishnu, of evil conduct, O the worst of Shiva's haters, don't you know the greatness and sanctity of Lord Shiva? Still, O long-armed one, if you stand face to face with me wishing for a fight, I shall rout you, if at all you can steady yourself. Brahma said. On hearing the words of Virabhadra, Vishnu, the intelligent lord of Devas, laughed gleefully and said, Vishnu said, O Virabhadra, listen. I shall tell you. I am a servant of Shiva. Do not call me inimical to Shiva. At first I had been requested repeatedly by Daksha foolishly, since he is too much addicted to rituals and did not know the true state of facts. He wanted me to protect the sacrifice. I am subservient to my devotees, so also is Lord Shiva. O dear one, Daksha is my devotee. Hence I came to the sacrifice. O heroic one, you have the features and splendor of Shiva, you are born of Shiva's fury. O Lord, you are the receptacle of exploits, listen to the vow taken by me. I shall withstand you. You can try to stop me. Let whatever is destined to happen, befall. I shall definitely show my prowess. Brahma said. When Vishnu said thus, the long-armed laughed and said, I am glad to know that you are a favorite of our Lord. Then the delighted Virabhadra, the leader of the Ganas, laughed and stooped humbly and spoke to Lord Vishnu. Virabhadra said, O great Lord, I had said thus in order to test your feelings. Now I shall speak in real earnest. You listen with attention. As Shiva, so you. As you, so Shiva. O Vishnu, thus speak the Vedas at the bidding of Shiva. O Lord of Lakshmi, all of us are the servants of Shiva. We work at the bidding of Shiva. Still due to respect we speak and argue thus. Brahma said. On hearing these words of Virabhadra, Vishnu laughed and spoke these words beneficent to Virabhadra. Vishnu said, O great hero, unhesitatingly fight with me. Hit all over my body by your arrows. I shall return to my hermitage. Brahma said, saying thus, he stopped and got ready for the fight. The powerful Virabhadra too got ready in the company of his attendants. Chapter 37, Destruction of Daksha's Sacrifice. Brahma said. Mentally meditating on Shiva, the remover of all adversities and seated in his divine chariot, the powerful Virabhadra took up all the great miraculous weapons for his fight with Vishnu, and roared like a lion. Vishnu, the powerful, loudly blew his conch Panchajunya, delighting his own people. On hearing the sound of the conch, the devas who had fled before leaving off the battlefield returned quickly. The guardians of the quarters including Indra roared like lions and fought forcefully with the Ganas of Virabhadra. A noisy terrible fight ensued between the Ganas and the guardians of the quarters, both roaring like lions. Indra fought with Nandan, the fire god with Asman, and the powerful Kabura fought with Kusmandopati. Nandan was hit hard by Indra with the thunderbolt that had 100 spikes. Indra was hurt in the middle of his chest by Nandan with the trident. Nandan and Indra, both equally powerful, fought with each other gleefully, and hit each other in diverse ways with a desire to overpower each other. The infuriated fire god hit Asman with his spear. He too hit back the fire god with his trident of very sharp point. Mahaloka, the heroic chieftain of the Ganas, remembered Lord Shiva with joy and fought with Yama. Chanda, the Brahmi, grappled with Nerda and mortified him with many great miraculous weapons. The powerful hero Munda fought with Varuna, surprising the three worlds with his great spear. Breenji was struck by the wind god with his weapon of great force. Vayu was struck, in return, by Breenji with a powerful trident. Meditating on Lord Shiva in his heart, the strong and heroic Kusmandopati clashed with Kabura and fought terribly. Splitting up all the devas, the great leader of Bhairavi in collaboration with the circle of yoginis, drank much of their blood. Desirous of gobbling up the leading devas, Kali split them and drank their blood. Kstripala too did the same. Then Vishnu, the slayer of enemies and who was excessively brilliant, hurled his discus and fought with them. The discus seemed to burn the 10 directions. Kstripala saw the discus coming on. He ran to the place and bravely caught hold of it. On seeing the discus held in his mouth, Vishnu the conqueror of enemies' cities caught hold of his throat and made him spit out the discus. Regaining his discus, Vishnu the sole sustainer of the world, of great dignity became very angry. In that infuriated state he took up different weapons and fought with the brave warriors. Vishnu fought a great battle with them by hurling many weapons and evincing boisterous display of his terrific exploits. Bhairava and others displayed their strength furiously by hurling several weapons and by fighting with him. Virabhadra saw their battle with Vishnu of unequaled splendor, returned and clashed with him in a great battle. Then Vishnu of great brilliance lifted up his discus and fought with Virabhadra. O sage, a terrible fight provoking harapilation took place between Mahabali and Varuna with various weapons. Thanks to the yogic power of Vishnu, innumerable soldiers terrible and wielding conch, discus, and mace in their hands emerged from his own body. They too fought against Virabhadra who continued to shout. These strong groups of warriors were as strong as Vishnu and had various weapons with them. Remembering Shiva, his lord, and hitting them, who were as lustrous as Narayana with his trident, he reduced them to ashes. The most powerful Virabhadra struck Vishnu in the chest playfully with his trident in the course of the battle. O sage, hit suddenly by that blow, Vishnu Purushottama, fell unconscious on the ground. Then arose a wonderful brilliance as terrible as the fire at the time of dissolution. It seemed to burn all the 3 worlds. It was severe and terrifying even to great heroes. That glorious lord, with eyes red by anger, got up again. The best of beings lifted up his discus and stood ready to strike. Virabhadra of no weak soul, nay, identical with Lord Shiva, held his terrific discus luminous like black sun suspended and motionless. O sage, thanks to the power of Shiva, the great Lord controlling Maya, the chakra held in the hand of Vishnu became stunned and motionless. Vishnu, who was kept stunned by Virabhadra of eloquent words, who was the lord of the Ganas, remained motionless like a mountain. O Narada, when he became benumbed and stunned, Vishnu repeated formulas for redemption from torpidity. O sage, becoming freed from the stunned state, Vishnu became infuriated and took up his bow and arrows. O dear sage, Vishnu's bow was attacked with 3 arrows by Virabhadra, whereupon it split into 3 in a trice. Then Vishnu was enlightened by the great voice that the great Ganas were invincible. He therefore thought of vanishing from the scene. On coming to know that all this was bound to happen, brought about by Sati, so unbearable to all others, all of us went to our respective worlds after duly remembering Shiva, the independent Lord of all. When I returned to Satyaloka, the grief of my son afflicted me much. In my miserable plight I pondered over what shall be done by me. When Vishnu and I had gone, accompanied by devas and sages, all those who were left there, those who maintained themselves through sacrifices, were utterly defeated by the Ganas. On seeing the disorder and utter destruction of the great sacrifice, the sacrifice itself, being afraid, assumed the form of a deer and fled. Virabhadra seized it as it was fleeing up the sky in the form of a deer and beheaded it. Then the heroic Mahagana Virabhadra caught hold of Prajapati, Dharma, Kasyapa Aristaniman the sage with many sons, the sages Angaras and Krisasva and the great sage Datta, and kicked all of them on their heads. With the tip of his fingers he cut off the tip of the nose of Sarasvati and of Aditi the mother of Devas. Virabhadra showed his exploits thus. Similarly the infuriated Virabhadra with eyes blazing, cut off the other Devas too and threw them on the ground. Even after mutilating the chief Devas and sages, he never became calm like the king of serpents whose anger had been aroused. After uprooting his enemies, like a lion the elephants of the forest, Virabhadra surveyed all the quarters frequently to know who is where. He struck and smashed Bharga while the valorous Makibhadra kicked him on his chest and plucked off his mustaches. Chunda forcibly plucked off the teeth of Pusan who had formerly laughed and showed his teeth while Shiva was being cursed. Nandan plucked out the eyes of Bhaga who was felled over the ground with anger because it was he who winked at Daksha while cursing. Svadha, Svaha, Daksina, Mantras, and Tantras, all those who were there were molested and mortified by the leaders of Ganas. The Ganas furiously showered filth and rubbish on the sacrificial fire. The heroic Ganas made the sacrifice inexpressibly impure. After coming to know that Daksha had hidden himself behind the altar due to his fright, Virabhadra dragged him out with force. He was caught hold of by his cheeks, his head, and was struck with the sword. Due to the yogic power of Daksha it could not be split. Thinking that his head could not be pierced or cut with weapons he kicked his chest with the foot and rested the head with his hand. Virabhadra the leader of the Ganas threw the head of the wicked Daksha, the enemy of Shiva, into the fire pit. Virabhadra whirling the trident in his hand looked splendid indeed. The angry Ranaksa and Samvarta looked like the blazing mountains. After killing them without difficulty Virabhadra in his fury burnt them in the fire like a blazing conflagration consuming moths. Seeing Daksha and others entirely burnt, he laughed boisterously filling the three worlds with the sound. He was surrounded by heroic glory. Then a divine shower of flowers originating from the celestial park fell over Virabhadra accompanied by his Ganas. Cool breezes blew gently fragrant and pleasing. Divine drums sounded simultaneously. The hero who had accomplished his duties went to Kailasa quickly like the sun who quells darkness. On seeing Virabhadra who had fulfilled his task, Lord Shiva was pleased and he made him the presiding officer of his Ganas. Chapter 38, The Dialogue between Kesuva and Dadhika, Sudha said. After hearing these words of Brahma of immeasurable intellect, Narad the Brahmin was surprised and he lovingly asked him thus. Narada said, "Please tell me for what reason did Vishnu go to the sacrifice of Daksha along with the Devas but leaving off Shiva, for there so much of ignominy was in store for him? Does not Vishnu know Shiva who has the power of dissolution? Why did he fight with his Ganas like a foolish insensible man? O merciful one, this is my great doubt. Please clarify it, O Lord, narrate the story of Shiva to us that heightens the enthusiasm in our mind." Brahma said, "O excellent Brahmin, listen with pleasure to the story of the moon-crested Lord which dispels our doubts. O sage, formerly Vishnu lost his knowledge by the curse of Dadichi. He, therefore, went to Daksha's sacrifice along with the Devas in order to help Kesuva." Narad said, "Why did the excellent sage Dadichi curse Vishnu? What harm was done by Vishnu to Dadichi by helping Kesuva?" Brahma said, there was a king of great splendor named Kesuva. He was the friend of Dadichi, the sage of very great potentiality. Formerly a great dispute, well known in the three worlds, took place between Kesuva and Dadichi in the context of their penance. This caused great disaster. Dadichi, a great devotee of Shiva and a Vedic scholar, said a Brahmin alone is the noble person in the three higher Varnas. There is no doubt. O great sage, on hearing the words of Dadichi, the king Kesuva, deluded by his pride due to wealth and glory, said thus. The Vedas say clearly that the king consists of all devas. Hence, O sage, I am that great deity. Hence a king is nobler than a Brahmin. Take the example of Sayavana. Hence I am not to be disrespected by you. I am to be honored always. Brahma said. On hearing that opinion of Kesuva, O excellent sage, which went contrary to Vedas and Samritas, Sakra became angry. Dadichi of great splendor became angry because it affected his prestige, O sage. With his left fist he hit Kesuva on his head. Kesuva on being hit struck Dadhika with the thunderbolt. The king of evil mind became angry and roared loudly. Dadichi on being struck by the thunderbolt remembered Sakra, who was one of his ancestors. Sakra of yogic powers approached the body of Dadichi, who was hit by Kesuva, and rejoined the broken limbs. After rejoining the organs as before of Dadichi, Sakra, a leading devotee of Shiva, the initiator of Mrityunjaya Vidya, said. Sakra said, Dear Dadichi, after worshipping Shiva, the Lord of everyone, I am going to tell you the highly potential Vedic mantra Mahamrityunjaya. We worship the three-eyed Lord Shiva, the Lord of the three worlds, the Father of the three spheres, the Lord of the three gunas. Lord Shiva is the essence, the fragrance of the three tattvas, three fires, of everything that is trichotomist, of the three worlds, of the three arms and of the Trinity. He is the nourisher. In all living beings, everywhere, in the three gunas, in the creation, in the sense organs, in the devas and ganas, he is the essence as the fragrance in a flower. He is the Lord of devas. O excellent Brahmin of good rights, he is called the nourisher because it is from him, the supreme Purusa Shiva, that the Prakriti, the different tattvas from Maha to the different Indriyas, Vishnu, Brahma, the sages, Indra, and the devas derive their nourishment. Worship that immortal deity Shiva with sacred rites, penance, self-study of the Vedas, yogic practices, meditation, observance of truth and other means. You will be freed from the noose of Yama. The Lord is the cause of both bondage and salvation. In my opinion, this Mrdasanjivani mantra is the most excellent of all. Repeat these mantras regularly, remembering Shiva with devotion. After japa, homa, and recitation of the mantras, observe fast, but you can drink water day and night if the meditation is conducted in the presence of Shiva. There is no fear of death from anywhere. Nyasa and other ritualistic rites shall be observed. Shiva shall be worshipped duly. Shiva, who is favorably disposed to his devotees, shall be propitiated. I shall also mention the observance of meditation. It is after this meditation that the mantra shall be repeated as long as the purpose is realized due to Shiva's power. I worship the three-eyed Lord Shiva, the conqueror of death, who is accompanied by Parvati, who pours water on his head from two vessels held in his lotus-like hands, by means of the other pair of hands, who has placed the two hands with the pots on the lap, who usually holds in his hands the Rudraksha garland and a deer, and whose body is rendered cool and wet by the nectar exuding from the moon worn on the head. Brahma said. After instructing the excellent sage Dadichi thus and remembering Lord Shiva, "O dear," Sakra returned to his abode. On hearing his words, the great sage Dadichi went to the forest for penance, thinking upon Shiva with great pleasure. Going there, he performed penance, repeating the mantra named Mahamrityunjaya in accordance with the rules and remembering Shiva with great pleasure. After repeating the mantra for a long time and propitiating Shiva with penance, he delighted Shiva named Mahamrityunjaya, the conqueror of great death. O great sage, Shiva, who is favorably disposed towards his devotees, became delighted by that japa and appeared before him lovingly. On seeing his Lord Shiva, the great sage was highly pleased. After bowing to him with devotion and in accordance with rules, he eulogized him with palms joined in reverence. O dear one, O sage, Shiva told the son of Sayavana Dadichi, please tell me what boon you require. On hearing the words of Shiva, Dadichi, the most excellent devotee, spoke to Shiva, who is favorably disposed to his devotees, with palms joined in reverence and a formal salutation. Dadichi said, O great Lord, Lord of Devas, please give me 3 boons, viz. Adamantine bones, impossibility of being killed, and absence of distress. Brahma said. On hearing the words mentioned by him, the delightful great Lord gave Dadichi the 3 boons, saying, so be it. After securing the 3 boons from Shiva, the great sage, who strictly followed the Vedic path, was delighted and went immediately to Kesuva's abode. Having secured indestructibility, adamantine bones and absence of distress from Shiva, he kicked the king on the head with the root of his foot. Kesuva, the king, who was haughty by the favor of Vishnu, became angry and hit Dadhika on his chest with his thunderbolt. The thunderbolt was incompetent to destroy Dadhika the noble-souled, thanks to the power of Lord Shiva. The son of the Creator, Kesuva, was greatly surprised. On thus seeing the indestructibility, absence of distress and adamantine bones of Dadhika, the great sage, Kesuva, the son of the Creator, became surprised at heart. Defeated thus by Dadhika, who was the server of Mrityunjaya and who resorted to Shiva, Kesuva went to the forest immediately and propitiated Vishnu, the younger brother of Indra. The Lord Vishnu, satisfied with his worship, revealed himself to him in the divine form of the Garuk, law-bannered deity. On seeing the Lord with his divine vision, he bowed and eulogized him with pleasing words. After worshipping and eulogizing the invincible Lord, lauded by Indra and others, he devoutly bowed down his head and submitted thus to him. The king said, O holy Lord, formerly I had a humble friend, a certain Brahmin renowned as Dadichi, who knew all virtuous acts. He cannot be killed by anyone at any time due to the power of Shiva. He got this boon after propitiating Shiva, the conqueror of death, who is free from sickness. In the open assembly, that Dadhika of great penance, contemptuously kicked me with his left leg on my head. O Vishnu, he told me haughtily, am not afraid of anybody, having obtained favors from Mrityunjaya, he is incomparably haughty. Brahma said. On coming to know of the indestructibility of Dadichi of noble soul, Vishnu thought upon the unrivaled power of Lord Shiva. Having thus remembered Shiva, Vishnu told Kesuva, the son of Brahma, immediately, O noble king, Brahmins need not be afraid of anything even a bit, O king, especially the devotees of Shiva, have no fear at all. He would curse me along with the devas and trouble me. O noble king, my destruction will also take place from the leader of Ganas at Daksha's sacrifice due to his curse. Of course I will be rising up again. O leader of kings, the completion of the sacrifice will not take place. Of course, O king, I shall strive for your victory over Dadichi. On hearing the words of Vishnu, the king Kesuva said, so be it. He remained there alone, eager to achieve his desire. Chapter 39, Description of the fight between Vishnu and Dadichi. Brahma said, in order to do something beneficent to Kesuva, the Lord Vishnu, who is favorably disposed to his devotees, assumed the form of a Brahmin and went to the hermitage of Dadichi. The preceptor of the universe Vishnu, resorting to deception for the realization of Kesuva's purpose, bowed to the Brahmanical sage Dadichi, the leader of devotees of Shiva, and spoke these words. Vishnu said, O Dadichi, O Brahmanical sage, engrossed in the worship of Shiva, O unchanging one, I am soliciting a boon from you, which you will please grant. Brahma said, Dadichi, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, thus requested by the Lord of Devas on behalf of Kesuva, immediately replied thus. Dadhika said, O Brahman, your purpose has been understood by me. You have come here on behalf of Kesuva. You are the Lord Vishnu in the form of a Brahmin due to your illusion. O Lord of Devas, O Vishnu, thanks to the grace of Shiva, the past, future and present, everything in the three periods of time is known to me. I know you to be Vishnu, O observer of good rites. Leave off your disguise of Brahmanhood. You have been propitiated by King Kesuva of wicked intellect. O Lord Vishnu, know your favoritism towards your devotees. Cast off this deception. Assume your own real form. Remember Shiva. If anyone is afraid of me in view of my being engrossed in the worship of Shiva, you will please tell me, bearing in mind the true state of things. With my mind drawn to the memory of Shiva, I never tell a lie. I am not afraid of devas or demons in the whole universe. Vishnu said, O Dadichi of good rites, all sorts of fear are at an end for you. Since you are actively engaged in the worship of Shiva, you are omniscient. You will please say for once that you are afraid. Obeisance to you. At my behest please bear with Kesuva, the leader of kings. Brahma said. Even after hearing this request of Vishnu, the great sage Dadichi, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, laughed and said fearlessly. Dadichi said, am not at all afraid of anything anywhere at any time, thanks to the power of the Panyaka-wielding Shiva, the Lord of Devas. Brahma said. Then, on hearing the words of the sage, Vishnu became angry. He lifted his discus and stood as if he would burn the excellent sage. When hurled upon the Brahmin, the terrible discus became blunted in the presence of the king, thanks to the power of Shiva. On seeing the discus blunted at the edges, Dadhika smilingly spoke to Vishnu, the cause of discrimination between the existent and the non-existent. Dadichi said, O Lord Vishnu, formerly the famous terrible discus Sudarsana was secured by you with great effort. That is the auspicious discus of Shiva. It does not kill me here. O Lord Vishnu, furious at me you can endeavor to hurl all the weapons such as Brahmastra at me one by one. Brahma said. Vishnu, on hearing his words, thought that he was only a man devoid of virility and hence hurled at him all the weapons. Thereupon the Devas of crooked intellect rendered help to Vishnu, who was engaged in fighting with a single Brahmin. Indra and others, partisans of Vishnu, hurled with force their own different weapons from all round, on Dadichi. Taking a fistful of kusa grass and remembering Shiva, Dadichi of adamantine bones and self-control charged it against all the gods. O sage, thanks to the power of Shiva, the fistful kusa grass of the sage became the divine trident equal in potentiality to the fire of the god of death. That trident of Siva nature blazing around with the luster exceeding the fire at the close of the yugas wanted to burn the armed gods. All the weapons hurled by the Devas, of whom Narayana and Indra were the most important, bowed down in reverence to that trident. Bereft of their virility, the heaven-dwelling Devas fled. Vishnu, alone, the foremost of those who make use of Maya, remained there, but he was afraid. Vishnu, the Lord, created out of his body millions of divine beings like himself. O celestial sage, those Vishnuganas of heroic power fought with the single sage Dadhika identical with Shiva. Then withstanding the entire hosts of Vishnuganas, Dadhika, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, burnt them all in the battle. Then, in order to confound the sage Dadichi, Vishnu, clever in the use of illusion, became multiformed. In that body of Vishnu, the most excellent Brahmin Dadichi saw thousands of devas and living beings. There were crores of Buddhas, crores of Ganas and crores of universes in the body of multiformed Vishnu then. On seeing all things spread there, Dadhika, the son of Sayavana, spoke to Vishnu, the all-pervading, unborn, Lord of the universe, eulogized by the whole universe. Dadhika said, O long-armed one, cast off this illusion. On consideration, this is only a sham appearance. O Vishnu, thousands of inscrutable things are known to me also. I shall give you a divine vision. You will see in me the entire universe including you, Brahma and Rudra. You shall then be alert. Brahma said. After saying so, the saintly son of Sayavana, of body fully infused with the brilliance of Shiva, showed the entire universe in his body. Remembering Shiva in his mind and laughing fearlessly, the intelligent Dadichi, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, spoke to Vishnu, the Lord of Devas, thus. Dadichi said, O Vishnu, of what avail is this illusion of yours or the power of mantra? You shall give up this illusion and fight in a straight manner. Brahma said. On hearing the words of the sage, the fearless Vishnu became angry with the sage who had been infused with the brilliance of Shiva. The gods also rushed to the aid of Lord Vishnu, who was desirous of fighting with the sage Dadichi of great valor. In the meantime, Kesuva of noble contact, came there. He prevented the motionless Brahma, Vishnu, and the gods from fighting. Even after hearing my words, the defeated Vishnu did not go near the sage, nor bowed to her. Kesuva, who became agitated and distressed, went near Dadichi the great sage, bowed to him and requested thus. Kesuva said, O leader of sages, foremost of the devotees of Shiva, be pleased. Be pleased with Lakshmi's consort, who is difficult to be perceived by the wicked people. Brahma said. On hearing the words of the king on behalf of the Devas, the Brahmin Dadichi, the storehouse of penance, blessed him. Then, on seeing the Lord of Lakshmi, Vishnu and others, the sage was angry. Remembering Shiva, he cursed Vishnu and the Devas. Dadichi said, "Let the gods with Indra, the sages, and the Lord Vishnu be burnt in the fire of the anger of Rudra." Brahma said. After cursing them he looked at Kesuva and said, "O leader of kings, a Brahmin is worthy of being respected by Devas, kings, and the best of other castes. O leader of kings, only Brahmins are powerful, and influential." After saying thus clearly the Brahmin entered his hermitage. After venerating Dadichi, Kesuva returned to his abode, Vishnu also returned to his region and the Devas to their respective places. That place became a sanctified holy center named Sthanesvara. Persons making pilgrimage to Sthanesvara will attain the Sayojya salvation with Shiva. Thus I have briefly narrated the dispute between Kesuva and Dadichi and also the story of Brahma and Vishnu who were cursed for being without the support of Shiva. Whoever recites this portion containing the discord between Kesuva and Dadichi can conquer premature death. After death he attains Brahma's region. If a person recites this section and enters the battle, he need not be afraid of death at all. He will come out victorious. Chapter 40, Journey to Kailasa and the Vision of Shiva. Narad said, "O Brahma of great intellect, who are the guide for Shiva cult, you have narrated to me the wonderfully beautiful story of Shiva's sport. After destroying the sacrifice of Daksha when the heroic Virabhadra went to Kailasa, what happened there? Oh dear, please tell me now." Brahma said, "Defeated and mutilated by Shiva's armies, the gods and the sages came to my region. After making obeisance to me who am self-born, and eulogizing me in various ways, they explained their distress entirely. On hearing that, I was extremely pained for my son Daksha. In that mental anguish I thought, what step shall I take to please the Devas, whereby Daksha can be restored to life and whereby the sacrifice also be completed? O sage, even after thinking a lot I did not attain any peace of mind. Remembering Lord Vishnu with devotion, I knew what I shall do. Then I went to the world of Vishnu along with the gods and the sages. After bowing to and eulogizing him with various hymns, I informed him of my misery. Please make arrangements so that the sacrifice shall be completed, the gods and the sages be happy. As you know, he was performing a sacrifice. O Lord of Lakshmi, Lord of gods, bestower of happiness to the gods, we, including the Devas and the sages, have sought refuge in you." Brahma said. On hearing my words, the Lord of Lakshmi, with his soul set on Shiva and mind free from distress, replied after duly remembering Shiva. Vishnu said, "An aggression against a powerful person neither befits a weak aggressor nor leads to his welfare. Thus, O Brahman, the gods have committed sin and offended Shiva, since they had partaken of his share in the sacrifice. You shall propitiate Shiva by falling at his feet, with pure mind. At the bidding of the protector of the world whose fury annihilates everything, the resuscitation is certain and immediate. That Lord has been wounded in the heart by the wicked Daksha by harsh words. Crave the forgiveness of that Lord who has lost his beloved now. O Brahman, this is the only remedy for tranquilizing him, I think, and also for pleasing him. I have mentioned that truth. Neither I nor you, nor the gods, nor the sages, nor any embodied being knows the reality and the extent of his strength and power. Who else can lay down a remedy for Shiva, who is independent and the greatest self, a remedy that quells delusion? I too have offended Shiva. I shall also come, O Brahma, to Shiva's abode along with you all and crave the forgiveness of Shiva. Brahma said. After commanding thus, me, Brahma and the gods, Vishnu desired to go to his mountain along with the Devas. Accompanied by the gods, sages, Brahma, and others, Vishnu went to Kailasa, the auspicious excellent mountainous abode of Shiva. It was a favorite abode of the Lord where Kinnaras, Apsaras, Siddhas and other divine beings stayed. It was very high. It was brilliant with many peaks full of precious gems all round. It was of variegated color due to diverse minerals. It contained different trees and creepers. Many kinds of deer roamed and many kinds of birds hovered there. The celestial and Siddha damsels sported about in different springs and pools along with their husbands and lovers. It contained many caves and ridges. It shone with various kinds of trees and had a silver luster. It was infested with big animals, tigers, and others who were free from cruelty. It was of divine nature endowed with shining brilliance. It inspired great surprise and wonder. The river Ganga, originating from the holy abode of Sati, sanctifying everything, flowed there, and so the place was very clean. On seeing this mountain named Kailasa, a great favorite of Shiva, Vishnu and other devas were surprised along with the excellent sages. Near it, the gods saw Alaka, the beautiful and divine city of Kabura, a friend of Rudra. Near that they saw the sylvan park Sagandhika, which contained all kinds of trees. The sound originating from it was surprisingly divine. Outskirting it are the two holy rivers Nanda and Alakananda that quelled sins by their mere sight. The celestial damsels descending to them from their world drank their waters. Emaciated for their sexual dalliance with their menfolk, they entered them for their sports. After going beyond Alaka, the capital of the king of Yaksas, and the Sagandhika park, they saw the fig tree of Shiva. The fig tree had steady shade all round. It had a number of suspended branches without hanging roots. Its height was 100 yojanas. It had no nests on it. It afforded protection from heat. It was the place where Shiva practiced yoga. It was divine. It was resorted to by other yogins. It was great and excellent. It could be seen only by the excessively meritorious persons. It was beautiful and sacred. Nanda, Alakananda, and Bhagirati are three famous branches of Ganga in the upper course in the Puri Garhwal region. Beneath that vata of yogic potentialities, Vishnu and other devas saw Shiva seated. The vata was the refuge of those seeking salvation. Shiva was being served and venerated by Brahma's sons, the great Siddhas, engrossed in devotion to Shiva joyously. They were calm. Their very physical body inspired calmness. He was being attended upon by his friend Kabura, the lord of Goyakas and Raksas, and particularly by his attendants and kinsmen. Lord Shiva had the divine form liked by the sages. His fond love befriended everyone. He shone with the ashes Kama smeared over his body. O sage, Narad, you were present there, and while you were asking him questions, he was explaining wise and excellent things to you, whereas the other saintly men were listening. He was seated on a seat made of kusa grass. He had put his left leg over his right thigh and knee. The Rudraksha garland was suspended from his wrist. He was showing the Tarkamudi with his hand. On seeing Shiva like this, Vishnu and other devas humbly bowed to him immediately after joining their palms. Lord Shiva, the refuge of saintly men, stood up and approaching who had gone there along with me, he performed obeisance with his head. Vishnu and the Devas made obeisance at his feet as Vishnu, the goal of the world, would bow to Kusyapa. Vishnu and the Devas performed obeisance and spoke to Shiva, who was revered by the lords of Devas, Siddhas, Ganas, and the sages. Chapter 14, Devas eulogize Shiva. Vishnu and others said, O great Lord, the Lord of the gods and the prescriber of worldly conventions, we know you to be Shiva and Brahman, thanks to your favor. O Lord Shiva, why do you delude us by your illusion which is inscrutable and which deludes people always? You are the supreme Brahman, greater than Prakriti and Purisa, the material and activating cause of the universe. You are incomprehensible and inexpressible. You alone create, sustain, and annihilate the universe under your control like a spider, weaving its web. You sport about with Shiva Shakti, your own manifestation. O Shiva, merciful that you are, you alone created the sacrifice through Daksha for the fulfillment of the Vedas. The delimitations which Brahmins, experts in the Vedic path and rituals, believe in, and with you in the world. O Lord, the activities of auspicious nature result in happiness to the doer, whereas inauspicious activities end in adverse, or in partially good and bad results. You alone are the bestower of the fruits of all actions. You are the Lord of glorious things according to the Vedas. Vulgar persons who observe sacrificial rites alone are acrimonious and wicked. With harsh words and jealousy these deluded persons inflict pain on others. O Lord, let not the destruction of these gods be carried out by you. O Lord, great God, be merciful. Obeisance to Shiva, who is calm, the supreme, and the highest soul, of matted hair, great Lord, and the bright one. You are the creator of the creators of the universe. You are the sustainer and the forefather, possessed of three attributes and attributeless. You are greater than primordial nature and the supreme being. Obeisance to thee, the blue-necked, the creator, the supreme soul, the universe, the speed of the universe and the cause of the bliss of the universe. You are Omkara, Vasadkara, the initiator of enterprises, Hantakara, Svadhakara, and the partaker of Havya and Kavya offerings always. O righteous one, how is it that the sacrifice has been broken by you? O great God, you are a benefactor of Brahmins. O Lord, how can you be a destroyer of sacrificers? You are the protector of virtue, Brahmins, and cows. O Lord, you are the shelter for all living beings and worthy of being bowed to. Obeisance to you, O Lord, having the splendor of innumerable suns. Obeisance to you, the Bhava, the Lord in the form of flavor and fluid. Obeisance to you who are everything, who are in the form of fragrant earth. Obeisance to him of great splendor, him in the form of fire. Obeisance to Shiva who is wind in the subtle form of the principle of touch. Obeisance to you, the Lord of individual souls, the priest presiding over sacrifice, and Vidhas, the Creator. Obeisance to you, the terrible in the form of ether with the principle of sound. Obeisance to the great Lord Moon, or, one accompanied by Uma, obeisance to the active. Obeisance to Yugra in the form of sun, obeisance to you the detached performer of actions, the slayer of Kala, and the furious Rudra. Obeisance to Shiva, Bhima, Yugra, the controller of living beings, you are Shiva to us. Obeisance to the giver of pleasure to all pervasive universal soul, the destroyer of distress, the consort of Uma. Obeisance to the Annihilator, the Supreme Being in the form of all objects, the Great Soul who is indistinguishable from the existent and the non-existent, and is the cause of intellect. Obeisance to one who is omniformed and the plentiful, obeisance to Nila, Nilarudra, Kajrudra, and Prasitas. Obeisance to the most bounteous Lord who is pervaded by rays, who is the greatest, and the destroyer of the enemies of the gods. Obeisance to Tara, star, Sudara, one that enables others to cross, Tarana, the ever young, and the brilliant. Obeisance to Shiva who is beneficent to the gods, the Lord, the Great Soul, obeisance to you the Great, obeisance to you, the dark-necked God. Obeisance to the Golden One, the Great Lord, of golden body, obeisance to Bhima, Bhimarupa, obeisance to one engaged in terrible deeds. Obeisance to one who has smeared his body with ashes, decorated himself with rude raksha, and is of short long dwarfish height. Obeisance to you, O Lord, who can kill at a distance, in front, to one who has a bow, a trident, a mace, and a plowshare. Obeisance to the wielder of many weapons, to the destroyer of Daityas and Danavas, to Satyat, Satyarapa and Satyozata. Obeisance to Varna, Vimaryapa, Vimanitra, Aghara the Great Lord and the Vakata. Obeisance to Tatpurusha, to Natha, the ancient Purasa, the bestower of the four aims of life, Vradan, and Parmasthan. Obeisance to you, Isanas, Isvara, Brahman, of the form of Brahman, the Supreme Soul. You are fierce towards all wicked persons, to us you are Shiva the controller. Obeisance to you the swallower of Kalakuta poison, the cause of protection of the gods and others. Obeisance to Vira, Virabhadra, the protector of heroes, the trident holder, the great lord of mankind. Obeisance to him of the heroic soul of perfect learning, Srikantha, Pinakin, the endless, the subtle, the one whose anger is the cause of death. Obeisance to the great Lord, greater than the greatest of the great, the all-pervading omniformed Lord. Obeisance to Vishnakalatra, Vishnuksitra, the Sun, Bhairava, the refuge of the refugees, the three-eyed and the sportive. Obeisance to Mrityunjaya, the cause of sorrow, of the form of three attributes, one with the moon, sun, and fire as eyes, to the bridge of each and every cause. The entire universe is pervaded by you with your own splendor, you are the great Brahman, the unchanging consciousness, bliss, and light. O Lord Shiva, all the gods headed by Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, the moon, the sages and others are born of you. Since you hold everything by dividing your cosmic body into 8, you are known as Astamurti, you are the primordial Shiva, the merciful. Afraid of you the wind blows, the fire blazes, the sun shines and death runs all round. O great Lord, the ocean of mercy, be pleased. Save us forever, for we are otherwise doomed as we lack in fortitude. O merciful Lord, we have been protected always by you alone from different miseries. Similarly protect us now. O Lord the Blesser, O Lord of Durga, revive the incomplete sacrifice of Daksha Prajapati immediately. Let Bhaga regain his sight, let the initiated Daksha be restored to life, let the teeth of Pusan grow, let the mustaches of Bhargu appear as before. O Shiva, let the gods and others whose bodies have been mutilated by weapons and stones, regain their previous normal health under your blessing. O Lord, the entire share of yours will be allotted to you. Vasistha will officiate in the sacrifice will have the share of Rudra, not otherwise. Saying so, Vishnu, the Lord of Lakshmi, along with Brahma craved Shiva's forgiveness by prostrating on the ground. Chapter 42, The Removal of Daksha's Misery. Brahma said, Lord Shiva was delighted on being conciliated and cajoled by Vishnu, Brahma, and the sages. Consoling Vishnu and other devas and laughing, the merciful Lord Shiva blessed them and spoke. Lord Shiva said, O excellent devas, both of you listen with attention. O dear ones, I shall state the truth. I have always borne your wrath. I do not take into account the sin committed by my children. I have inflicted punishment on those who are afflicted by my illusion. The destruction of the sacrifice of Daksha was not done by me. If a person hates another, ultimately it recoils on him alone. No action that involves the affliction of others will be indulged in by me at any time. If anyone hates another, it will recoil on him alone. Let the head, the sacrificial head, of Daksha be that of a goat. Let the god Bhaga receive his share in the sacrifice in conjunction with the sun. O dear ones, the god Pusan who used to grip the cooked offerings in a sacrifice with his teeth has been rendered broken-toothed and will remain as such. I have spoken the truth. Bhargu who opposed me shall become goat-bearded. The gods who tried to uproot me shall have their physical bodies. Let the Advarya priests be born through the arms of Asvins and the hands of Pusan. I have spoken thus out of love for you. Brahma said. Saying, thus, the Lord Shiva, though merciful, yet imperial nature, the Lord of the mobile and immobile and the follower of Vedic injunctions, stopped. On hearing his speech, Vishnu and other gods were delighted and sent out cries of approbation. Then at the invitation of Vishnu and other gods, Shiva went to Kanakhala at the sacrificial altar of Daksha Prajapati. The celestial sages and I too accompanied him there. Then Rudra saw the extent of destruction carried out by Virabhadra, of the sacrifice and of the celestial sages. Svaha, Svadha, Pusan, Tusti, Dhruti, Sarasvati, the sages, the Manis, Agnis, many others like Yaksas, Gandharvas, Rakshasas who were mutilated, wounded, or killed in the battle were seen by him laughingly. O seeing this destruction of the sacrifice, he called the chieftain of Ganas, Virabhadra of great virility and spoke to him. O Virabhadra of powerful arms, what is it that you have done? O dear, in your hurry you have inflicted very severe punishment on the celestial sages and others. Bring Daksha here quickly. O dear, he performed a sacrifice contrary to rules, whence this result arose. Brahma said. Thus commanded by Shiva, Virabhadra hastened to bring the headless body of Daksha which he threw in front of Shiva. O excellent sage, on seeing the headless body, Shiva, the benefactor of the worlds, spoke laughingly to Virabhadra, where is the head of Daksha? Virabhadra replied, O Lord Shiva, at that time itself, the head was consigned to fire by me. On hearing the words of Virabhadra, Shiva commanded the gods in the manner as mentioned before. After doing in accordance with what Lord Shiva had said, Vishnu, the gods and I acquainted Bhargu with the same quickly. At the bidding of Shiva, they immediately joined the head of the sacrificial animal, the goat with the body of Daksha. When the head was joined and Shiva looked at it, Daksha regained his life and awoke as if from sleep. On waking up he saw Shiva, the merciful, in front of him. Daksha stood there happy and joyful. Formerly his mind had been contaminated and affected by a great hatred towards Shiva. But now immediately after seeing him, his mind became pure like the autumnal moon. He wanted to eulogize Shiva but could not do so because of his affection, emotional disturbance, and anxiety for his deceased daughter. Then after regaining composure and peace of mind, the ashamed Daksha bowed and eulogized Shiva, the benefactor of the worlds. Daksha said, I bow to the great Lord, the Supreme Being, the bestower of boons, the store of knowledge, the eternal. I bow to Shiva, the Lord of the chief of gods, always conferring happiness and the sole kinsman of the universe. I bow to the Lord of the universe, of cosmic form, the primordial being and the form of Brahman itself. I bow to Shiva, the conceiver of worlds' happiness and fly greater than the greatest. O Lord, Lord of Devas, be merciful. Obeisance to thee. O Shiva, the storehouse of mercy, forgive my faults. O Shiva, thou hast blessed me under the pretext of punishing me. O Lord, I have been wicked and foolish. Thy real nature I could not understand. Today I have realized the truth. Thou art above all. Thou art served by Vishnu, Brahma and others. Thou art the Supreme Being known only through the Vedas. Thou art the wish-yielding kulpa tree to the good. Thou punishest the wicked always. Thou art the independent great soul. Thou art the bestower of desired boons on the devotees. Thou hast created the Brahmins first who uphold learning, penance and sacred rites, in order to realize the reality of the soul, O great Lord, from thy mouth. Just as the master of cowherds protects the cows from adversities, so also thou art the savior of the good. Thou art the watch and ward of social conventions. Thou punishest the wicked. The great Lord has been wounded by me by the dot shafts of piercing harsh words. I have made the gods, who conferred blessings on me, very dejected. O Shiva, the helper of the distressed, thou art greater than the greatest. Thou art favorably disposed to thy devotees. Thou art satisfied by thine own action of great value. Brahma said, having thus eulogized Lord Shiva, the benefactor of the worlds and the great Lord, the patriarch Daksha humbly stopped. Then the delighted Vishnu, with palms joined in reverence, eulogized the bull-bannered Shiva in a speech choked with tears after bowing to him. Vishnu said, O great God, O supreme God, the bestower of blessings on the world, O storehouse of mercy, the helper of the distressed, thou art the great Brahman, the great soul. O Lord, thou art all-pervasive and independent. Thy glory can be known only through the Vedas. This Daksha is my devotee. He has been wicked to censure you before. He has committed an offense making us meritless. O great Lord, thou must forgive him since thou art free from aberrations. O Shiva, out of delusion. I too have committed offense against you since I took sides with Daksha and fought with Virabhadra, thy attendant. O Sadashiva, thou art my master, the supreme Brahman. I am thy slave. I shall be sustained by thee always since thou art the Father unto us all. Brahma said, O great Lord, Lord of Devas, O Lord, O ocean of mercy, thou art the independent great soul, the great Shiva, changing and without a second. O Shiva, blessing has been conferred on my son in granting him a body. Thou dost not mind the offense to thee. Resuscitate the sacrifice of Daksha. O Lord of gods, be pleased. Remove all curses. Thou art my conscious encourager. Thou alone art the restrainer. O great sage, after thus eulogizing Lord Shiva, I joined my palms in reverence and bent my head in humility. Then Indra and other gods, the guardians of the quarters, of good mentality lauded Lord Shiva, whose lotus-like face beamed with brilliance. The other gods too of delighted minds, the Siddhas, the sages, and the Prajapatis lauded Shiva joyously. Then the gods of lower rank, Nagas, and the Brahmins, the members of the assembly, bowed with devotion and eulogized Shiva severally. Chapter 43, The Arrangement in Daksha's Sacrifice. Brahma said, thus eulogized by Vishnu, by me, by the gods, sages, and others, the great Lord became delighted. After consoling Brahma, Vishnu, the sages, and the gods by his benign glance, Shiva spoke to Daksha. Lord Shiva said, O Daksha, listen. I shall explain. O Patriarch, I am delighted. Although I am independent Lord of all, I am subservient to my devotees always. 4 kinds of meritorious persons worship me always. O Patriarch Daksha, the latter are greater than the former. They are the distressed, the inquisitive, the fortune-seeker and the wise. The first 3 are ordinary and the 4th one is extraordinary person. The wise among these 4 is a great favorite of mine. He is of my own form. None is dearer to me than the wise. It is the truth. I tell you the truth. I am the knower of self. I can be known through knowledge by those who have mastered Vedanta and the Vedas. Deluded men engrossed in rituals alone cannot attain me through the Vedas, sacrifices, gifts or austerities. You wished to cross the ocean of worldly existence by observance of rituals alone. That was why I became angry and caused the destruction of the sacrifice. Hereafter, O Daksha, thinking upon me as the great Lord and giving more importance to knowledge, you carry on rituals with care and attention. O Patriarch, listen to another statement of mine with a clear conscience. Although it is based on the qualitative aspect, it is esoteric. For the sake of virtue I shall tell you. Brahma, Vigmi, and I constitute the chief cause of the universe. But I am the soul, the witness, self-seer and without attributes. O sage, entering into my own illusion consisting of 3 attributes, I create, sustain, and annihilate the universe and acquire designations consistent with the activities. In that supreme, soul, universal God which is the pure self, the ignorant sees different living beings, Brahman, Isvara etc., even as an ordinary man does not consider his head, hands, and other limbs as separate from his own self, so also my follower does not feel separateness about the living beings. He attains peace, who does not see any difference among the 3 deities who constitute the soul of all living beings and who have the same innate property, O Daksha. The base man who differentiates the deities of the Trinity certainly stays in hell as long as the moon and the stars shine. Trinity is the emanation from the transcendent reality called Brahman. My devotee may worship the gods. Being so absorbed, he will attain knowledge leading to eternal salvation. Without devotion to Brahma one cannot have the devotion to Vishnu. Without devotion to Vishnu, none will have devotion towards me. After saying this, Shiva, the great Lord, the merciful God spoke these words within the hearing of everyone. If a devotee of Vishnu hates me, or if a devotee of Shiva hates Vishnu, both will incur curses and never realize reality. Brahma said. On hearing these pleasing words of Lord Shiva, O sage, the devas, sages, and others were greatly delighted. With great joy, Daksha, his family, and the gods realized Shiva as the Lord of all and was engrossed in devotion to Shiva. Lord Shiva, who was delighted in mind, granted boons to all, as he received reverence to his great self. Permitted by Shiva and with his blessings, O sage, Daksha, the devotee of Shiva, with a delighted heart completed his sacrifice. He allotted the full share to Shiva and gave the gods their respective shares. He gave charitable gifts to the Brahmins and secured the good blessings of Shiva. Thus the patriarch, Daksha, in collaboration with the Ritviks, completed that great rite of the gods in accordance with the sacred injunction. O excellent sage, thus the sacrifice of Daksha was completed, thanks to the grace of Shiva, who is identical with the Supreme Brahman. Then the celestial sages sang the glory of Shiva and left for their abodes with delighted minds. Others too were pleased and left for their homes. Vishnu and I went to our regions, joyfully singing the ever auspicious glory of Shiva. Lovingly honored by Daksha, the great Lord Shiva, the goal of the good, returned to Kailasa along with his Ganas. He was greatly delighted. After returning to his mountain, Shiva remembered his beloved Sash and mentioned her story to the most important of his Ganas. Narrating her story, Lord Shiva passed many days. He then evinced the lover's humor according to the conventions of the world. O sage, the Lord is never unjust. The Supreme Brahman is the goal of the good. How can he be deluded? What sorrow has he? How can he have other aberrations? Even Vishnu and I do not know his real secret. What then about others? The sages, gods, human beings, and even yogins. The greatness of Shiva is endless and inscrutable even to the learned sages. It is known to the devotees without difficulty, thanks to good devotion and his favor. There is no emotion or aberration at all in Shiva, the Supreme Being. He points out to the people of the world by his different actions, their respective goals. O sage, by reading or listening to this, intelligent persons in the world secure good goal hereafter and excellent happiness in this world. After forsaking her body thus, Sati, the daughter of Daksha, was born as the daughter of Meena, the wife of Ramavat. This is well known. After performing penance again, she wooed Shiva as her husband. Attaining white complexion, she performed many wonderful, divine sports and gained half the body of Shiva. Thus I have described the fascinating story of Sati to you, which confers worldly pleasures and salvation, which is divine and bestows all wishes. This narrative is flawless, pure, sanctifying, conferring heavenly pleasures, glory, longevity, and the pleasure of sons and grandsons. Ardhanari Isvara is the half-male and half-female form of Shiva. This form, most popular in ancient sculpture, symbolizes the union and concord of the spirit and its energy. Whoever listens to this or recites this with devotion, O dear, will attain the greatest goal in every rite. He who reads or teaches this auspicious narrative will attain salvation on death after enjoying all worldly pleasures.